Good morning, students, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you are watching this video. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. I know I am. All right, so again, we're back in my classroom, which is kind of exciting. Let's go ahead and begin. So guys, as a quick reminder for you, we have already talked about East Asia. All right, we did our GPERSIA chart for China. All right, we talked about the Song Dynasty. We looked at the mandate of heaven and Confucianism and Buddhism. All right, we looked at how the production of food has ultimately created a very, very strong and influential China for period one. Okay, then we moved on to the Islamic states. All right, we did a GPERSIA chart for the Islamic states as well. Okay, we talked about how Muslim merchants are located anywhere there is trade. Okay, really important stuff, guys. We also did a GPERSIA chart for South Asia, okay? And on your own, you did a GPERSIA chart for Southeast Asia, okay? I won't get into that. Make sure you guys also know the geographical difference between South Asia and Southeast Asia, all right? So guys, today we're gonna talk about Africa. All right, now I've given you this nice little chart here. I think it's really helpful. It's broken down unit 1, and it's broken down based on the unit guides. So hopefully you guys have that printed out. Hopefully you're following along with that, okay? We are actually going to go ahead and skip state building in the Americas. So first of all, we're going to do Europe and we're going to do Asia, okay? So next class, we'll actually talk about trading routes because geographically everything is more connected, all right? But we will eventually get to state building in the Americas, so don't fret, okay? So guys, I think this chart is really helpful. I would recommend going and taking my PowerPoint and actually taking this clip, okay? It's a really helpful graphic art to kind of explain what this unit is all about, all right? And remember, unit 1 and unit 2 are gonna be on your test, all right? So here we go, guys. All right, so it is already September. Do you guys believe that? It's crazy to think. We are already in the month of September, all right? Good job, guys, for getting through your first month of, well, sort of your first half month of your sophomore year. And you guys have done it with virtual education. So I'm really proud of you. You've done an amazing job, okay? So guys, today, as I said, we will talk about Africa, all right? On this slide, we have a picture of a African king right here. This guy's name is Mansa Musa. So maybe you have heard of him before. All right, Mansa Musa's really interesting, really unique, and kind of relevant today. And you'll see why in just a second. Okay, guys, so I've taken attendance. Today we're gonna do a quick warm up, and for this warm up, I'm actually going to give you guys some geographical perspective, all right? We're gonna look at the continent of Africa, and we're gonna look at how the map makers have gotten it wrong, all right? And how all of us have kind of a wrong perspective of what Africa, like the size and scale of the continent actually is. All right, after that, we are gonna do Unit 1, Topic 1.5, and we're gonna do a GPERSIA chart for Africa. Okay, but again, Africa's a little bit unique. All right, Africa is not monolithic. So we're gonna talk about East Africa and we're gonna talk about West Africa. All right, so 2 different geographical regions. All right, and then in your free time after this, you're gonna work on an assignment in your digital notebook, okay? I'm not sure, I'll probably collect those pretty soon, so make sure you have this in, you will be getting a grade, okay? So guys, up till now, we have talked about several major states and several major empires, all right? So just as a refresher, we've talked about the Song Dynasty in China, right? In East Asia, okay? We've talked about the Islamic states, okay? So this orange right here, this is a helpful factor, all right? Islamic states. All right, we've also talked about South Asia, all right? So South Asia, like India, all right? And you guys also did your own individual work on Southeast Asia, okay? So the pink little here, all right? We will eventually talk about these states in the Americas. All right, that little red thing kind of looks like a chicken bone. That will be what we talk about at some point. But today we are going to talk about Africa. And so we're going to talk about West Africa as well as East Africa. So here we go. The first things first, all right, some of you guys are in human geography. So I'm sure that some of you have learned this already, all right? So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this is really important stuff, okay? I think you guys need to know this. Now, I'll be honest with you, it is not in your AP World History curriculum, but that doesn't mean you don't have to know it, all right? I want you guys to take a look at this map I've provided you. And I want you to understand how wrong all these maps you've been looking at your whole lives have been, okay? So even in my classroom, I have a world history map up here, all right? So when you guys finally come to school, you'll see this up here. And on this map, you can kind of see that Africa is kind of the size that you've always thought it was gonna, all right? But that's just dead wrong, guys, all right? Africa has always been shrunk on these maps. So when we think about Africa, I want you guys to think about, I want you to put away your Western perspectives because Africa is a whole lot bigger than you think it is, all right? So just take a look at this map, guys. The United States, China, India, and Eastern Europe, and lots of Western Europe can fit, all right? I think this is really helpful. Look, all of China can fit like this. Look at about 25 Japans can fit in all of Africa, okay? All of India. All right, one of the most interesting things today, guys, is we're gonna talk about West Africa. So this region right here. And guys, the United States could fit in the area that is West Africa. So you guys know how different the United States is. The East Coast and the West Coast look very different, all right? That's exactly like how Africa is, guys. Africa's not monolithic, all right? Not everyone in this continent has the same culture, okay? And this is important because, again, we are learning about two separate regions today in Africa, okay? One of the reasons that we all get this wrong is because of something called the world map, all right? The Mercator map. So again, this is that map that you have seen in every one of your social studies classrooms from the time you were really little, okay? But here's the thing, guys, the earth is not flat. I mean, I know there's people out there that like to say the earth is flat, but it's not, okay? It's spherical, all right? So it is kind of, a giant sphere, all right? And so if you took that world map on my wall, which is laid flat, and you tried to make it into a sphere, it wouldn't fit, okay? Or if you took a sphere and you tried to make it into a world map, it wouldn't look the same, all right? It's really difficult to take a spherical shape and make it flat, okay? And I want you guys to see what the world should look like. All right, this is a fun little GIF. So if you took a sphere, so maybe you have a globe at home, all right? And you took that globe and you pulled it apart and you made it flat, okay? This is what it would look like, all right? The world, it's really hard to take that spherical shape and make it flat. That is why Africa is so small. And that is why Greenland, for instance, right up here, is so big, because the perspective of changes so much, all right? If you watch this map for a minute, you'll see that of all the things that actually shrink based on actual size, Africa doesn't, okay? Now, guys, again, this is not going to be on your AP World History test, but I think this is really important to know because it gives us a little more perspective on how important Africa is. Africa obviously is one of the 7 continents, and it's also the cradle of humanity, okay? All humans came from Africa, okay? So let's take a look, guys. Let's go on. All right, this is a fun little URL. I'm not going to go on to it. I'm not going to waste anyone's time, but I think you guys might like this. This URL actually allows you to take countries and kind of place them into Africa, just so you can see the scale of this continent. If you have some extra time, I definitely recommend looking at it. All right. So guys, as I said, we are doing topic 1.5 today, state building in Africa. Okay. So I hope you guys are following along with the course guide, but if not, that's okay too. Here's what we're doing today, guys. All right, so as usual, I would recommend that we all go ahead and get our GPERSIA chart set. All right, so topic 1.5, and that is our historical development. So guys, today, as I said, we're talking about different regions in Africa. All right, we're talking mostly about West Africa as well as East Africa. But what I need you also to understand is that culturally, there are many different Africas, all right? People in Southern Africa do not have the same culture that people in North Africa have, okay? But politically, you have two different kinds of Africa. You have North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. And here's the difference here, guys. North Africa has a lot more influence by those Muslim merchants, okay? In fact, most of North Africa would be majority Muslim, okay? You've got Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia. These countries are majority Muslim, all right? The rest of Africa, there is a lot of Muslim influence, but the majority of this region is not like Muslim, okay? You have Christianity, you have Judaism actually, and you have lots of smaller religions, okay? So politically, you have these different regions. So, you know, when we took that geography quiz, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, you guys needed to know these 5 different regions. So make sure you keep that in mind. But for the sake of political, you do need to know the difference between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, okay? So guys, as I said, we're talking about 2 different types of Africa today. All right, you have West Africa and you have East Africa. So guys, West Africa is going to be organized into large empires, all right? What that means is that West Africa is really going to have one major empire, okay? And that empire, the capital is going to be Timbuktu, all right? There is indeed a place called Timbuktu. And you're going to see multiple different spellings. There is no right or wrong way to spell Timbuktu. So however you want to spell it is fine by me, okay? But guys, here's what's really interesting about West Africa. So West Africa is deeply influenced by Islam, all right? West Africa is going to have a very, very famous emperor named Mansa Musa. Right? Perhaps you've heard of him. And Mansa Musa is going to run this emperor, and he is going to convert to Islam, and he is going to have his people also practice Islam, okay? We're going to get back to Mansa Musa in just a second, but I also need you to know that while West Africa is really just one major empire, I need you to juxtapose that with East Africa, okay? East Africa is going to be organized into competing city-states, okay? So maybe you guys remember when you learned in middle school about Greece, all right? And you maybe had learned about Athens versus Sparta, all right? So those were city-states, all right? So your political entity is actually just a city. That's what East Africa is gonna look like, all right? So a city-state is a city that is also your state, all right, or your country. So you're gonna see in East Africa that rather than having these large sweeping empires, you're just gonna have a couple major cities. And these major cities are also going to have rulers, okay? They're going to be patriarchal. They're going to have religious implications, okay? They're also going to engage in trade. And we will talk about this important trade. East Africa is going to be on the Indian Ocean. So most of this trade will be ocean-based, all right? Lots and lots of trade, lots of enslaved people, or as you might call them, slaves, okay? So guys, again, I wanted you to see this map, all right? We're looking at a lot of maps of Africa today, and that's okay, all right? As I said, guys, West Africa, you're really gonna have this one large empire, okay? The Mali Empire, and again, it's gonna be ruled by this awesome guy named Mansa Musa, okay? And then on East Africa, you're going to have these smaller city-states, okay? These city-states are going to engage in trade. So I wanted you to get a sense of what this is going to look like. So West Africa, East Africa, okay? So guys, as I said, Mansa Musa's pretty dang cool, okay? So a lot of you guys, when you did your periodization charts, some of you talked about Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs or like super rich people that you all know of, Bill Gates. Guys, these guys are kind of like kindergartners compared to Mansa Musa. And what I mean is that if you look at the whole history of humanity, I mean, starting from the beginning until yesterday, all right, nobody has ever been as rich as Mansa Musa. Okay, so this is really cool, guys. Let me share this. Okay. All right. So, screen share. Okay, so the 10 richest people of all times. Look at how cool this is, guys. So it's what you expected. Vanderbilt, Henry Ford, Gaddafi, William the Conqueror. That's from a long time ago as well. But if you go all the way to the end, all right, you don't see, you're not really seeing Jeff Bezos, all right? You're not seeing Bill Gates. But what you're seeing, the richest man in history, and this isn't just adjusted for inflation, all right? The richest man in history is this guy, Mansa Musa, all right? So yes, he's an emperor, so he's collecting taxes, all right? But how did he get so dang rich, all right? Well, let's learn about the E in the GPERSIA chart, guys. So guys, West Africa. All right, guys, West Africa is going to be a majority Muslim area. All right, Mansa Musa practices Islam. Where you have Islam, you also have Muslim merchants, okay? This is kind of like that sort of unofficial rule for all of period 1 world history. Wherever you're gonna see trade, you're gonna see Muslims, okay? So guys, the Mali Empire is going to engage in the TransSaharan Trade. We're gonna talk about this trade on our next class, okay? But basically what you need to know is that they are exporting and importing goods through the Saharan desert, all right? This is a land-based trade. So they're packing up all their goods and they're putting them on camels and they're taking them across the desert to trade. Okay, and that is how they're gonna be, engaging in this trade. Really important. All right, their biggest trading partners are gonna be up in Northern Africa. Okay, so remember, where there are Muslims, all right, there are merchants, and where there are merchants, there are Muslims, all right? So the Mali Empire is gonna trade with North Africa, all right? They're going to export gold and they're going to import salt. So here is how Mansa Musa got to be so dang rich, all right? Mansa Musa, he's the one in charge of all the gold, all right? So every piece of gold that is gonna be mined in the Mali Empire is the personal property of this emperor. So every dime made on this trade is gonna go right into Mansa Musa's pocket, okay? And that is how this guy is gonna be the richest man in history, all right? So I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, wait a second. So they traded gold for like crappy little salt, all right? I mean, we put salt in our French fries. It's not that expensive. I don't get it. All right, well, here's the deal, guys. Salt is something our bodies need, okay? In these really hot climates in Africa, you need to have salt to be able to retain water. So while gold it's a precious metal, it's not life-sustaining, okay? So in West Africa, they're going to import salt and they're going to export gold. Make sure you understand this. We can sit here and judge and say they got ripped, but they didn't, okay? Salt was important for life, okay? They needed to have salt to be able to stay alive in this hot African climate, okay? But on the other side of Africa, things are a little different, all right? East Africa is going to engage in trade on the Indian Ocean, all right? So guys, you have that map. East Africa, all those little city-states are pretty much going to be on the water, all right? So they're going to be having merchant ships, all right? And these merchant ships are going to be importing and exporting goods. So what did we say, guys? Wherever there are merchants, there are Muslims. Wherever there are Muslims, there are merchants. So you're gonna see Muslim merchants from North Africa, and they're gonna be living in these city-states, and they're going to be engaging in trade, okay? Muslim merchants are also going to be on ships, importing and exporting goods, guys. So what kind of stuff is East Africa have? They have some gold, sure. Yeah, not quite as much as West Africa, but they have lumber as well, all right, like trees, ivory, all right, ivory, as we said, is the tusks of elephants, all right? And the other thing they have, guys, is enslaved people. So we need to take a step back for a minute, okay? We need to talk a little bit about this slave trade. So guys, when we talk about this slave trade in period one, remember period one, year 1200 to 1450, I don't want you guys to get confused, all right? A lot of you think about the slave trade and you think about, oh, okay, so like the slave trade, like the Atlantic slave trade, like West Africa to Virginia or the Caribbean. Put that away, guys. That will be period two. We are talking about the Indian Ocean slave trade, okay? So East Africa is going to take people, all right? And they're going to export people out of warring tribes, and they're going to send them throughout South Asia and the Islamic states, okay? Now, this slave trade is going to be one of the longest in the world. You're gonna see enslaved peoples taken out of East Africa and sent to these regions, all right, along the Indian Ocean all the way up until the 1960s, okay? It's gonna last way longer than the Atlantic slave trade. But I need you guys to know that there is a big difference between the East Indian Ocean slave trade, the Indian Ocean slave trade, as well as the Atlantic slave trade, all right, major difference. Now there's something else I wanna talk about. Okay, this has nothing to do with AP World History, but this has something to do with someone who just went to grad school. Okay, so today we are changing the way that we talk about things. Okay, we're talking about African Americans, and we're calling them people of color. All right, we're using different words, and one of the words that academics have changed is slave. Okay, so guys, this is new, all right? And I don't expect you all to be experts at this, okay? But I wanna give you guys some like help for when you all go to college, okay? In this class, I will be referring to slaves as enslaved people, okay? Or enslaved person, all right? It's maybe a better term, okay? It maintains a sense of dignity, okay? When you're talking about someone as if they're a slave, you're saying that it's a natural identity, okay? And so I'm going to say enslaved person. Now, I invite you all to also say enslaved person. When you all go to college, if you take a history class, you will probably be required to say enslaved person. Now, I am not requiring it, but I want you all to know that I will be referring to slaves as enslaved people, all right? It's going to give these people more of a sense of dignity, all right? And it's going to remind us all that we're talking about human beings, okay? Because slavery is a really difficult topic, okay? Especially when we talk about the Atlantic slave trade. But whenever we talk about enslaved people, we need to remember that at the end of the day, these people are still human beings, okay? They were forced into this condition. No one asked to be enslaved, okay? So again, as a reminder, you may use slave or you may use enslaved person in my class, but I need you to know that I will be saying enslaved person from here on out, okay? So, as I said, guys, when we are talking about the Indian Ocean slave trade, again, we are not talking about the Atlantic slave trade. We are not talking about West Africa to the United States colonies or the Caribbean. We are talking about the removal of people from East Africa, okay? The removal to North Africa or to the Islamic states or to South Asia, okay? Now, these people are still going to be forced to work. They're still going to be enslaved, all right? But the system is going to be a little bit different, still equally dehumanizing. But again, we are talking about two slave trades in AP World History. the Indian Ocean one, and the Atlantic Ocean one, okay? Period 1, Indian Ocean. Period 2 and period 3, the Atlantic, all right? So guys, religion, okay? Africa is going to be deeply influenced by Islam, okay? Islam is going to be brought to both East and West Africa by Muslim merchants, yes. Okay, so as we said, guys, wherever there is trade, wherever there is merchants, there will be Muslims, okay? And Muslims are going to bring their religion with them, all right? But here's what's kind of unique about what happens in Africa, all right? East Africa and West Africa, they're going to have deep and rich cultures. So what they're going to do is when they adopt Islam, they're actually going to blend Islam with their native religions. Okay, I need you guys to understand that you're going to see this unique blend of religion. Okay, so here's your SAT word of the day, guys. Syncretism. All right, we will talk about this quite a bit in this class. What is syncretism? It is the amalgamation or attempted amalgamation of different religions, cultures, or schools of thought, okay? So one of the most famous versions of syncretism, I know you guys know what this is voodoo, okay? So voodoo is going to be a religion, all right? It's going to be an African religion that blends with a Caribbean, all right? Enslaved people are going to bring their religion to the Caribbean and it's going to blend, okay? You see this a lot with religions in Africa, all right? You see it today with Christian missionaries who bring Christianity into Africa. The religion kind of adopts smaller little bits of what is happening in this area, all right? And it kind of synchronized, like it's syncretism, okay? So the Islam that you see in the Middle East that we've talked about, it's not gonna be the same in Africa, all right? The Islam in Africa is going to adopt local practices, all right? So here's what's gonna happen, guys. In Africa, in both East and West, the upper classes are going to practice a more pure form of Islam, all right? So the upper classes are going to have more, they're going to have more face-to-face with Muslim merchants. And so they're going to practice, closer to the 5 pillars of Islam, all right? Whereas lower classes are going to practice what is sometimes referred to as a dirtier version of the religion, all right? So a more syncretic form of this religion. So Islam is going to be very different here than in North Africa or in the Middle East, all right? But again, and I keep saying this over and over again, guys, wherever you have trade, wherever you have merchants, you're gonna have Muslims. And so you're gonna see in both East and West Africa, diaspora communities of Muslims, all right? You're gonna see little groups of practicing Muslims from the Islamic states. They're gonna be engaging in trade, and they're also going to be spreading their cultural religion, okay? But Islam, again, is going to blend with the local religion, and you're gonna get more syncretic forms of Islam, all right? Make sure you understand what this is, guys. This is your SAT word of the day. All right, guys, so social institutions. So East Africa, West Africa, both groups are going to own enslaved people, okay? So it's hard for us to conceptualize this, but people in West Africa and people in West Africa also owned enslaved peoples. So what that usually means is that you had like local groups warring with each other, and the victor is going to enslave the loser tribe, okay? And after that, you're going to enslave people from the tribe that lost, okay? So both groups are going to own enslaved people, but East Africa is going to export them, all right? West Africa is usually going to keep enslaved people within the empire, okay? East Africa is going to put these people on ships and send them to South Asia as well as the Islamic states, okay? So guys, Africa is also going to be patriarchal, all right? We've talked about this. You're going to have an emperor, all right? It's going to be a man, or you're going to have a leader. It's going to be males. It is a little bit less so than other places, but it's still patriarchal, all right? So far, we have not talked about a single place that is not patriarchal. So make sure you keep this in mind, guys, all right? So guys, again, where there are merchants, there are Muslims, all right? Arabic is going to spread, okay? Arabic is going to be a really important language. Again, it comes from the Middle East. It's coming from those Muslim merchants. And as you guys maybe remember, it is the language of Islam, okay? Muhammad wanted the Muslim followers to make sure they understood Arabic. They had to read in Arabic because Arabic was the direct word of God, okay? So that's going to spread as Islam spreads, all right? But guys, you're gonna get some syncretism, not only in religion, but also in languages. So perhaps you guys have heard of Swahili. It is a language that is spoken today in South Africa, as well as other places in Southern Africa, all right? Swahili is a syncretic religion. It's going to be a fusion of local native languages as well as Arabic. So again, guys, as Islam spreads, Arabic is going to spread, all right? And Arabic's going to blend with the local religions. And Swahili is going to be a product of this, okay? So guys, here's what I want you to do today, all right? I'm not gonna, innovations, we don't have to worry about innovation, but I want you guys to get out your digital notebook, all right? I'm gonna have you guys work on the arts and architecture. This is really important, guys. Some of you guys might know, but this is a very famous structure in Western Africa, okay? It's gonna be called Timbuktu. So I want you guys to take a look at this picture, or if you wanna go online and you just type in Timbuktu, this will probably be one of the pictures that appears, okay? Now, it's not a sandcastle. That was my first thought, but it is a very, very famous building, a very famous structure. Now, some of you might know what it is already. Some of you might not. But here's what I want you guys to do, okay? I'm only asking for one paragraph, but I want you, and I don't want you to cheat. I don't want you to go on Google, all right? I want you to tell me everything you know about this structure just by looking at it, okay? So, who built this building? All right, think about architecture styles, all right? Who's famous for building, these spherical, dome-shaped, symmetrical things, guys? I answered my own question. How do we know that someone that was Muslim built this structure? Talk to me a little bit about this, guys. So I want you to do this. You can use your own notes, and I highly recommend looking at your chapter about the Islamic states. And I want you to give me one paragraph describing what this building is based on, all right? You can use your notes from today, you can use your notes from last class or the class before. But I want you to do one paragraph, all right? And I want you to think about what you've learned, all right? I want you to apply those broad ideas, everything that we've learned, all these GPERSIA charts. And I want you to be able to tell me everything you know about Timbuktu without having to look at Wikipedia, okay? So guys, that is the end of class, all right? I haven't asked you to do too much today. I wanted to give you like a nice little breather, okay? So again, ask me any questions you have, and you guys keep being awesome, all right? I'm really proud of you guys for all your hard work. So have a good rest of your day, guys.